Great, thank you. And to those of you that trickled in, we are asking, last month we had some time to do an icebreaker and introduce ourselves. But this week we want to go ahead and get into our conversation. And so if you're new to the space, please feel free to drop your name in the chat with your title. And we look forward to doing more icebreakers in the future. But again, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If anyone has any questions, Berta Hernandez will be supporting me with some of the questions in the chat if that drops in. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if everything is well on your end. Go ahead and put it into presentation mode. Great, so today is Thursday, November 3rd. And this is a Space for People's Development Manager series. Thank you all for joining us. To get us started, we're going to go ahead and welcome and introduce our guest speaker for today. I'm really excited. I was able to have a conversation with Viviana, and just a really amazing person doing a lot of great work. And I'm happy to have her here to share with the rest of you, because in the beginning of the year, during March, when we had a lot of our listening sessions, a lot of discussion came around the hiring process, questions about vacancies and how that looks. So Viviana today will be sharing with us. She is the manager for the HR Policy, Equity, and Communication Data team. She's joining us from the Office of Experience and Culture from Human Resources. And Viviana, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I know you have some slides you'd like to share. At the end of every session, we will be sending you our slides. And for this session, we are recording. So I will also be sure to include the recording for you all and for anyone else who may not have made it today. And Viviana, you are muted. Okay, Viviana, go ahead.
You still mute.
No. Actually, Viviana, it may be your audio, but I'm not getting anything on your end.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, thank you again for having me today. So I would like to share with you the hiring process at DPH. Please let me know if you have any questions at the end when we have our feedback. So the hiring process, I have split it in 3 phases. One is the pre-selection process. The second phase is the selection. And the last one is the post-selection process. I'm going to start with the pre-selection process.
And Viviana, I apologize for interrupting. If you are sharing your slides, I'm not able to see them, but feel free. I can go ahead and see if I can support you. I don't know if on your end you see the share option.
Yeah. One second.
Perfect.
Are you able to see it now?
Yes. Thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for all your patience.
Of course, no.
Thank you. Okay, so yeah, I was mentioning about the hiring process at DPH. I have split the hiring process in 3 main phases: the pre-selection process or stage, the selection process, and the post-selection process. So for the first one, for the pre-selection process, is when the hiring managers start planning about what are the positions that they have, looking in the future if someone is going to be retired. So you are allowed to submit the Form 3 with around 60 days prior to the retirements, we can start working on filling your position, getting the position approved. We also work on the on this pre-selection process, on the position approval. Everything start when the operations HR analyst that is assigned to each division send an email to the manager to start reviewing the Form 3. That is the best way that we have to communicate directly with the hiring managers for any vacancies that they have at the program or the sub-programs that they are leading. And also after that, we have what we call the recruitment process. So like the first step is the Form 3. So managers needs to work directly with finance to identify if it's any vacancies for the current or future fiscal year, and also to find available funding. That way they determine how many positions, how many job classes they have, if the positions are going to be filled as a full-time, as a part-time, or as needed positions, depending on the needs of each department and the available funding. Form 3 is after they are filled out, all the fields within the Form 3. The Form 3 needs to be submitted directly to the finance analyst for approval. We wait until finance approves the Form 3 to start the approval process of the position by submitting the request to fill of the position and getting the appropriate approvals by either DHR and the major's office, or sometimes it's DHR who approves the Form 3 only. So when you are looking into your positions, you have like 4 main appointment types. One, if you are going to fill a permanent civil service position, or we call it PCS, is for permanent positions, and this position must be filled from an eligible list that is adopted. The other option that we have is the TPV, or temporary provisional positions, and they are when it's not an eligible list currently adopted or in place. So we temporarily fill the position. The employee only has to take the interview at this point, but he must pass the examination when it's available. So which means is like at this moment we don't have eligible list. Merit is working on the job announcement. The job announcement is going to be posted in 6 months or so. So we here temporarily to fill the position. That employee needs to wait until the job announcement is open, apply for the position, take the exam and pass the exam and be on the eligible list. If it's reachable, then this provisional employee can be transferred as a permanent employee. If the TPV, or the temporary provisional candidate, didn't take the exam or is not reachable, unfortunately, we have to separate them. Other option that we have is for the permanent exam, is when a candidate is taking a position for a limited period of time, can be 1 to up to 3 years in this capacity. They are using permanent budget, but they are appointed for a limited period of time. The 4th option that we have is the temporary exempt. We have the 3 main categories. That is CAT 16, that is limited to 1040 hours per fiscal years. We have category 17 that is limited to 2 years to 24 months, that is used to backfill the permanent employee when the permanent employee is taking medical maternity leave. However, things have changed, and now if an employee who is taking a promotional exempt position for any position, any job class within DPH or outside DPH, the hiring manager can fill the position for this employee as a permanent. So the permanent employee taking this promotional position can return to a permanent position within the department, but might be available or not on the same division. So that is going to expedite the hiring process and fill all the vacancies that the division has. The last option, we have the CAT 18 that is limited up to 36 months and is for usually is used for hiring managers when they have grants budget and the employee is working on very specific or special projects. One of the questions that we usually receive a lot is what is a minimum qualification? So minimum qualifications is the lowest level of acceptable education and experience required for any candidate. And this is determined by the merit team that has been working with the subject matter experts for each job classifications. Some position has minimal qualifications already in place. So the candidate must meet these minimal qualifications in order to qualify and be appointed to the specific position. So this documentation is requested at the end after the candidate is selected and we are reviewing the request to hire. Other questions that we get or we ask the manager too is for the desirable qualifications. What are the, but these qualifications are called preferred. So you prefer that your candidate has these qualifications, but it's not a requirement, it's not essential. Maybe you are looking for someone with a specific experience in communication, with a specific experience in a specific topic, but it's a plus. Usually these desirable qualifications or selection criteria, because they are synonyms, are used when you want to have a bigger candidate pool, right? Because that allows you like more candidates said, oh, I have those desirable qualifications, so I'm going to apply through the notice of inquiry to those positions. So it's good to have more desirable qualifications than less desirable qualifications. The minimum qualifications, as I mentioned before, are essential for the classification, and you can add special conditions. And these special conditions are essential for the position too. For example, if you need someone who speaks a specific language, that the candidate that is selected must meet that special condition. For example, for the physicians, we also require, for example, in this case, like if they have we need a pediatrics specialization, we need to require for that specific position that the physician that is going to be hired have that special certificate or have that specific medicine degree in this case. So special conditions and minimal qualifications are a must for the candidate to have it in order to be hired. In populational health, we usually have like experience with STDs, HIVs, or different kind of languages. In other cases, we have hazmat certificates, and those are special conditions, and they are a requirement for the candidates to be able to qualify for the position. So now I'm going to talk about the selection process. Is when the hiring managers are working directly with the HR analyst after the position is approved in order to start reviewing first the redacted application. Redacted applications are the applications that do not have any type of information about the candidate. The manager is only able to review the education and the job experience that is listed on the job application that the candidate have entered in the Smart Recruiters. And the selection process can be in two ways. One, the manager can select via application review, so only reviewing the applications, or by conducting interviews. We call all this process referral process, and I'm going to focus today only in permanent positions or permanent hires due of the time limit. So for the referral process, we have to wait for the eligible list to be adopted. So in some cases, if we have the eligible list, the HR analyst immediately requests the referral in order for us to get access to the candidate pool. And then we submit the notice of inquiry for getting interest in your specific position. In other cases, the job announcement is under works by the merit team, and we have to wait until merit closes the job announcement, then make the review of all the candidates that has been applied, making sure that they meet the minimum qualifications and the special conditions. And after that, the eligible list is adopted. It takes a little bit of time because the eligible list needs to be reviewed and approved by DHR, and sometimes it will receive appeals. That is one of the delays has been happening in some job classes, because some candidates said that they meet the minimum qualifications, so they make appeals. So we have to wait until all those clearances has resolved before an eligible list is adopted. This eligible list has different ranks based on the scores. So if those scores varies depending if the person is a current employee, if the person has different educations, if the person has like disabilities, they are veterans. So there are different ranks and scores for each one of those type of cases. And then the eligible list is adopted based on those last scores. Sometimes we have only one candidate in rank number 1. Sometimes we can have 2 or 3, or in different ranks, we can have multiple candidates, or sometimes we have only one. When the referral is issued, we submit something that is called the notice of inquiry or interest. That is for all the candidates that are currently on the eligible list, receive the job description that is submitted by the hiring manager. And also if the hiring manager would like to submit some questions, we would call it referral questionnaire, to all the eligibles on the that are listed, for them to respond to them. And they said, I'm interested in your position. If we have positions with special conditions, we ask them, you meet the special conditions? So people self-certify always if they have that specific experience, or if they speak that specific language. At the end, after the notice of inquiry is closed, we provide the redacted applications links to the hiring manager for the manager to review and let us know which are the candidates that either they would like to hire immediately, or the hiring manager said, I want these candidates that I scored with number 5 to be invited for an interview. During this process is when we work closely with the hiring manager and ask them for the interview questions from the panel, in order to get everything approved. By when the manager has made the selection of the candidates, we can move forward with the interview process. Also, other thing to consider is that not all ranks are reachable. That is limited based on the rule of the lease. The rule of the lease is limited between an agreement with merit, DHR, and the union. They are the ones together. They are the ones who decide which should be the rule of the list. So rule of the list can be 3, 5, and 10. And for higher managers positions is rule of the list. So anybody who is on the eligible list can be reachable. Then the manager review the list, screen for the applications, and then the manager start the interview process. During these stages, the HR analyst has been provided to the manager, like the different forms that they have to fill out for the review of the applications, approving the interview questions, approving the panel that should be gender and ethnicity diverse before conducting the interviews.
We do have a question. Can any position be rule of the list?
No, only manager positions.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, of course. The last step is the post-selection process, is when the HR analysts receive the request to hire from the hiring manager after they make the selection of a candidate, and then we start the onboarding process. So we wait for the hiring manager to submit the request to hire with the final selection. And we request that, and this is one of the roadblocks that we have in encounter, is when we do, as the HR analyst, we have to open the RTH and review that all the documents have been attached to the request to hire. So we have a list. Usually when the hiring manager receive the email that you are ready to conduct interview, you have access now on in Smart Recruiters. You have a list where you need to include the roster code, you need to include the position, you need to include all the documents that you have in use during the interview process, all the interview score sheets, the panel that has been approved. If the candidate is a current employee, on the employment verification, you only need to check the box that said the employee is currently a city employee. And then the HR operation analyst is the one who reviews the personnel file. We have to go to the department and review the personnel file in order to identify if the candidate that has been selected has any disciplinary actions. If the candidate has any disciplinary actions, we have to let the manager know, like, in this candidate is working currently, for example, at the library, he has this disciplinary action. Do you would like to move forward with this candidate or not? Sometimes these disciplinary actions that has been identified can be only for the department, sometimes can be citywide. So that's why it takes a little bit of time for us, because not all the departments has like openings. We have to schedule a meeting with them in order to review a personnel file of a candidate. So sometimes takes time. And as you know, people is telecommuting. Sometimes they help with the review. Sometimes we have to go directly to the departments. And then, for example, at this stage 2, if we cannot find all the documents that has been used during the interview process, is when we start reaching back and forth with the managers in order for the manager to provide the documents that are needed. We need all the interview questions, the scoring sheets, everything that you has been using for the recruitment is important to be attached, and that is going to reduce the back and forth emails with the operation analyst. Yeah, so thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Viviana. I do see a couple questions, and I also do, if you don't mind, see a hand up. So perhaps maybe if you have a moment, we can pause and go ahead and I see Veronica, you have your hand up, if that's all right, Viviana.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Viviana. How are you?
Good,
Nice
thank
to see
you.
your lovely smile. Quick question. You spoke briefly on the disciplinary actions that could be on record for an employee of another department or agency, and that the manager is notified. My question is, how are you, or how is our HR system reviewing that when we know there's been a history of Black and Brown people disciplined unequitably? And so this may be written in somebody's background. However, we also know that some of those disciplinary actions weren't equitable, and yet it's still being put in front of a manager, a potential hiring manager's lens, without full scope of understanding what actually occurred. Am I making sense?
Yeah, yes, of course.
Somebody has a disciplinary action that potentially wants to work in my branch, and yet that disciplinary action could have been an unequitable disciplinary action, and yet I'm still seeing it to determine whether or not I should hire somebody. Where's the equity in that? That's what I'm trying to understand. And thank you.
Yes, of course. Yes. So when it's those kind of disciplinary actions, we only review for the last 3 years. Yeah, anything in the last 3 years, and it's up to the hiring manager. we provide like the summary of what happened, right? And it's up to the hiring manager to decide if he wants to move forward or not with that specific candidate. We currently have a few rate of those cases. I just have encountered like maximum 3 of those, but sometimes the disciplinary actions are not so like someone who has not provided enough services for someone and the person die, right? In those cases, yeah, so it's for the hiring manager to talk with the HR analyst and make a decision if they want to move forward or not with that candidate. I know you mentioned about the most vulnerable population who has those disciplinary actions, and sometimes if they are not fair, right? So in those cases, we have to review case by case, because we have to make sure that if the candidate has a disciplinary action, we can reach out to potentially the labor team at the specific department in order to find out what happened and what are the recommendations that they have.
Thank you, Yana.
Mhm.
I also see here, rule of number, does this only mean applicants who rank 1, 2, 3 will be screened for MQ?
Yes, exactly. We have a limit, like for example, yeah, the rule of the list, if it's only until rank 3, we only are able to provide until that specific rank. However, one of the great things that we have currently with the Smart Recruiters is that we are able to add more ranks depending on the number of vacancies that are on this on the job class. Like for example, we have a position, the hiring manager has a 2593 position currently vacated, and the rule of the list is only 3. We are lucky because we have so many vacancies on that specific job class that we're able to reach out, like sometimes, and for my recently experience, we were able to reach out to the whole eligible list. So all ranks became available. So in the past with job apps, that was our previous tracking system, we have that limitation, but with the Smart Recruiters, we are able to reach out sometimes to the whole list, to all the ranks that are on the eligible list. Yes.
Thank you so much. And I do want to respect your time for your presentation. I see a couple more questions in the chat. Maybe we can take a look at those as we go. And then I also have a hand up from Melvina.
Yeah, mine is really quick. So on the, hi, Viviana.
Hi, hello.
With the question that was, because that was my question. And so let's just say if it's the rule of 3, and those applicants who are within that rule of 3 do not meet the qualifications of that position, do you then move down to the to screen the rest of that eligible people on the list?
If we have more vacancies, we are able to reach out to other ones. Ranks, but because we have this limitation with the rule of the list, the manager needs to make a selection from the candidates that has been provided within that specific ranks. For example, one of the good things that we can do, we have flexibility to, is like you reach out to the candidates that are on this, for example, 3 specific ranks. And if one of them, for example, that is located or placed on rank number 2 decline the interview, then we can move forward 1 rank. So now you are able to reach out to candidates from rank 1, 3, and 4. So yeah, but we have the limitation based on the rule of the list to provide the manager with those kind of with the candidates. Yes.
Okay. And then my last quick question is, for the, I know you spoke to disciplinary action and managers being able to see that. What if there is a grievance that's been filed against a person? Is there access to see that as well? Or is that hiring manager notified about that too?
So we, like I mentioned, we're able, as an HR analyst, we're able to let you know if the candidate has a disciplinary action. We provide you what, we cannot provide you with copies, right? Because that is
Mhm.
confidential about the disciplinary action. We can let you know like how the disciplinary action, like a summary of the disciplinary action, but we
Mhm.
cannot provide copies or allow a hiring manager to see them. Yeah, we can like work and see, this is the what we have found. Do you think that you would like to move forward with this candidate at this point, at this stage, or you, yeah. So I think so this is case by case,
And is
but
that volunteered or does it have to be requested? So meaning do you guys just volunteer that information, or is the manager requesting to see if there's a grievance in place or a disciplinary?
so when we review, for example, you select a candidate and the candidate is a current employee, we as an HR analyst must review the personnel file in order to identify if that employee has any type of disciplinary actions
Okay.
or grievances in currently for the last 3 years inside the personnel file. Mhm.
That means yes, you volunteer that information if it's present.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to disclose with the hiring manager
Okay.
if that is within the personnel file. Mhm.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
of course. Mhm. Mm, Jessica, do I continue or?
Yeah, so we do have a few more questions in the chat. And I just wanted to make sure that it's within some of these questions, but I think most of the ones that were in relation to this part have been asked. I do have one around the management positions. Right, what is the reason the management positions are eligible for role of list, i.e. anyone on the list being reachable, but not for other positions?
Do you mind to repeat the question?
Yeah.
Please.
What is the reason that only management positions are eligible for rule of the list, i.e. anyone on the list being reachable, but not for other positions?
Oh, that is an agreement between the HR and the unions for rule of the list. So we, as an ops analyst, we don't make that determination. That should be a question for the union.
Thank you. Is NOI always conducted, or are you able to reach out to all eligible?
Yeah, during the NOI, all the candidates that are on the eligible list are reachable. If they are reachable, yeah, they are going to receive the NOI. If for any reason, the candidates for example, usually the last ranks are not not reachable, then they are going to receive the NOI because they are part of the eligible list. But we cannot provide those candidates to the hiring manager because they are not reachable, so the manager cannot hire them. Mhm.
Thank you so much, Viviana. I'm going to go ahead and let you continue. There may be, let me go ahead and mention one more question here. And you might get to this in your presentation, but if in case you don't, let's go ahead and let me just go ahead and mention it. What does HR do to ensure that eligible lists are current and up to date? Often it seems that people on the list are no longer looking for work by the time a position is open. This has negatively impacted the quality of candidates available to the hiring manager.
So currently we have eligible lists that were recently adopted. So we are working with the last eligible list. Potentially the ones that maybe the hiring manager is asking is when it's an exempt position, because for exempt positions, what we use is expired eligible list. Or if not, a new job announcement has been open for that specific exempt position. So in those cases, yes, we have old eligible lists to work with the hiring manager. And yeah, potentially some of those candidates has not been interested anymore on the positions or the job class, or they have been hired somewhere else, either with our department or outside DPH. But for permanent positions, we use the adopted, the last eligible list. We don't use old eligible list to hire from permanent positions. Mhm.
Okay, and how often are the eligible lists updated?
So after every time that a job announcement is open, we are able, merit team is the one who is able to review and create a new eligible list. So let me show you something. So I'm going to share with you this one and with my presentation too. So this is the version that we have for this fiscal year 2022 to 2023. You're able to see here when the target of the job announcement is going to be posted. And this is divided per quarters. So you can do Control F and try and find 2593. So for this specific job class, the target of the job announcement is going to be posted in this quarter between October to December 31st. Unless it's something unexpected that happened, that job announcement is not going to be posted, but we can, or you can follow up with us in the bi-weekly meetings. But yes, so when you check here, every year, merit team needs to post a new job announcement, and after the job announcement closes, merit team reviews the candidates, conduct the specific examination process, and at the end they are going to adopt a new eligible list. So usually is one eligible list per year that needs to be provided by the merit team. I can share this one with you after my presentation. Mhm.
Great, thank you so much. I am looking here. Okay, great. So it sounds like you'll share that list with us. Thank you so much. There was one question in regards, it sounds like a communication question between HR and the hiring managers. What is the purpose of the email quoted below? So some candidates often ask why these do not specify which position or manager it is related to. Is this something that can be worked on or fixable? And it sounds, this is the quoted email. We know that you may get many of these letters, but we thought it was important to let you know that you have we have a permanent job class position that we're looking to fill. As an eligible candidate for this job classification, we are letting you know that your name has been sent to the hiring team for consideration as part of the eligible list. The hiring team has many options to review and select individuals with the most relevant qualifications from the hiring list. If you are chosen to continue in the selection process, someone from the department may contact you with additional information. So it sounds like the question is it something that could be added into the communication in regards to how often these are not specified for which position or manager?
Yes, the hiring manager can provide that information to the candidate after they make the selection. Because yeah, the candidate needs to know what should be the next steps. And yeah, that should be a good idea for the hiring manager to include that information to the candidate.
Okay. If there are multiple job listings for a given classification, which of the hiring managers have access to the eligible candidates, or who gets priority?
So each manager has, depending on the position, a stage. Like if, for example, hiring manager has a job class 2586, 2587, and 2593, each one of the job classes, currently they have an eligible list. So it depends on the priority that has been given by PhD leadership. each one of these job classes has been moving differently now. They have now a new rank order. So yeah, so for example, if the position that is job class 2587 has now a priority order number 1, it means that the HR analyst is working on the position right now and moving forward, depending if the position is new or the position is on the interview selection process stage, or if it's the manager has already provided the request to hire. So I don't know if I answered the question or.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah. So during October was a big partnership between PhD leaderships within the divisions in order for prioritize all the positions. So based on the job classification. So yeah, that's how they are going to be processed moving forward. That's my understanding. Mhm.
Thank you so much. I do see 2 hands up, but again, we are at 12:43. I don't know if maybe some of these will be answered, but I'll go ahead and let one more question, and then I'll definitely keep track of who has additional questions. Joseph, do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Sure, and I'll try to be quick, but I do just want to make the point, and Viviana, thank you so much for your explanation and for this presentation. I really appreciate it. I had asked the question about the eligibility lists and the frequency of them, so thank you for showing the schedule there. And I know that it's not even your department who makes the schedule, but I did, just because we're all here and talking about it, I did want to make the point and see if you can help. Because, for most positions, if an eligible list is made once a year, that almost guarantees that eligible lists will be old and will be stale. And it does contribute to a lot of problems in hiring. And so I'm curious, I know that you're also motivated to make sure that we get the best candidates as possible. Is there any work going on in the department anywhere to address this so that we can actually have current and up-to-date eligible lists, which would help both departments and the whole department as well as candidates?
Yeah, let me bring that question, and I'm not sure if Jessica, you can help me with listing all these great questions and provided it to me, and I will provide answers again to each one of these questions. Yeah, so yeah, so I think so, Joseph, thank you so much for your question. Yeah, I need to reach out to the Merit team to see with how frequency we are able to update this eligible list. But as I said, it's usually 1 per year. Yeah, so during the pandemic was like a big change, especially for the job classes that has been prioritized. So now we're trying to come back to the new, moving forward with the new normal process. So that's why they have, we usually have these, what we call the examination plan for each physical year in order for us as an operation analyst too, and for the managers to have access. This is public. You can find it in the DHR website, but I'm going to share it with you after the presentation for you to know when, for example, you have candidates that are 2591 and they are expecting to apply for a promotional positions. This should be a great tool for you to let them know, oh, this classification is going for us at 2593. The job announcement is expected in this specific quarter. So you guys prepare, go to the smart recruiters, register, forget the notifications, or so candidates, also employees, current employees can be looking for this job announcement in order to apply and qualify, take the exam and get in the new eligible list. So yeah, let me follow up with the Merit team to see, yeah, if you have any specific job classifications that you would like to see an updated eligible list, please feel free to reach out to me so I can reach out to the specific Merit analyst and let you know, like, if this expectation for to post the job announcement in this specific quarter is going to be, or is going to be a delayed or something. But yeah, absolutely. Let me follow up with them.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course.
Diana.
And I can keep a list of the questions in case we run over time, and we can definitely follow up or have a follow-up session. So thank you everybody for your conversation. I see your chat, your questions in the chat.
Thank you, Jessica. So, okay, do I move forward with the presentation?
Oh,
or you
yes,
want that I
please.
go and answer the question?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. Thank you so much for allowing
Thank
that
you.
time.
Thank you so much. So yeah, after the request to hire has been reviewed and the candidate that is selected provide documentation to meet the minimum qualifications, that is other part of the delay, because we give to them like 3 business days, and that information is on the job announcement. And one of the recommendation is like, you let the candidate know, like, okay, you are selected, the operations team is going to reach out to you, please start gathering all the documents to meet the minimum qualifications, because sometimes when they ask for the current employee for an employment verification letter, sometimes takes a week, sometimes takes more time, in order for them to provide the documents that are needed in order for them to meet the minimum qualifications. So after the RTH is completed and then the candidate has met the minimum qualifications, we pass to the onboarding stage, that we call it the pre-employment and appointment vetting process. That is when we, our processors clerks start scheduling the fingerprinting and the medical examinations. We extended the conditional offer letters. The candidate is scheduled to come to the office in order to sign all the paperwork. We let them know when is the orientations. And then at that point, when we start getting all these clearances, for especially the fingerprinting and the medical, is when they start working day is established. So if it's a current employee, even though is a current employee, the fingerprinting expire after 3 years. So we have received so many questions for either the candidate to ask, oh, I'm a current employee, what I need to do fingerprinting again? Because you are going to be appointed to a new different position. You need to go to the HR, because it's the HR who makes the determination with the Department of Justice if the current employee needs to take new fingerprinting. It's not a determination by the ops team. The medical exams, yeah, if you, same thing, 3 years, even though you are a current employee, you have been working for us for 20 years in your current position, if you're going to be appointed to a new position, you need to get a medical clearance again. After the start working day has been completed, then we close the RTH and all the paperwork is done, and the manager can start like usually the week before. Our onboarding team reach out to the hiring manager with an email and let them know that the candidate has been receiving all the clearances. They provide, like, if the employee is a permanent employee, when is the probationary period, for how long, and a checklist like about the equipment and and other documents that needs to be provided back from the hiring manager after 15 days of the new hire start working at the new position. So we have great news for the PhD staff hire data. In 2020, we hired 47. In 2021, the full year, we hired 72. For this year, up to last Saturday, we has been hired 73 candidates. So far, 19 are on the onboarding process, so they're getting the medical and the fingerprinting, and 3 RTHs are under review. 2 of them, the candidates providing the documentations in order to meet the minimum qualifications, and 1 is under the vetting process. So we hope at the end of November, we're able to hire 95 candidates total. and we expected more because December, and it's a lot of, currently we have 47 positions under the selection process, either by the manager reviewing the redacted applications or conducting interviews. So more employees are coming on board. We have a meeting yesterday with the HR and all the HR analysts across the city, and we currently have a vacancy rate of 9.4%. So those are the positions that are unfilled positions, and the time to hire is 255 days. And this is my main goal in my new position, to reduce this time to hire, like reduce it. Like we aim for at least 100 days or less. Why is happening right now? We have a lot of declinations, even though we offer positions, competitive salaries. The labor market is very competitive now. We have medical providers like Sutter Health, Kaiser, that are providing more perks for the employees. So we have a big turn down of the positions. Currently, for some positions, managers has been conducting interviews, and they have been hiring candidates from ranks like 4 or 5. And after the top candidates has been declined. So we are working on those. We are trying to like provide as much flexibility that we can, but we are doing our best. But yeah, it's a tough time for hiring with the city. It's a lot of big turn down on the positions. Okay, we skip the feedback. So very quickly, on August 15, we launched what is called immediate in hiring efficiencies, the phase 1, that was the elimination of the auto confidentiality, and we replaced it with an email. We eliminate that only permanent and above employees will be able to be part of the panel members. Now is more flexible for you be able to find panelists. We have also a pre-approved bank of interview questions that should be shared by your ops analysts. We also have eliminated the rating within 1 point, which means like you have 2 candidates. One is scored number 1 and the second candidate, you think that the second candidate is better than the first candidate, you need to provide a summary, a comparison between the 2 candidates, and you are able to hire rank number 2 over rank number 1. You think that this candidate has better skills, has better education, meet more desirable qualifications, so the selection criteria that you provided in the past, and there is a better candidate. You can do that, but you need to provide the justification. And we are going to continue to hold one-stop onboarding events that we haven't in the past. We are working on that. Like the candidate is 1 day. The candidate go in the morning, or depending on the appointment that they have, they provide all the documents in order to meet the minimum qualifications. Is an ops analyst there to collect all the documents. Is another, everything happens the same day at the same time. Then they go to this next stage or the next room when is the onboarding team, and they are going to sign out all the onboarding documents. Is another room where someone is taking the fingerprinting, and the last part is for the employee, to the candidate to take the medical exam. So everything happens the same day, instead of the candidate waiting and going in different dates to complete the process. So we're working on that in order to complete it. This is the standard confidentiality email. This is the pre-approved bank of interview questions. We have 2, one for no management interviews and the management interview question, but this is only distributed if you have a management position like 09 series or above. Yeah, so phase 2 that we aim to launch in December 12th is like we are working on having a consistency hiring plan across DPH. Those hiring plans is where the managers are able to see the status of the positions. Like when the HR analysts make any updates, they provide those updates directly on the hiring plan. So the manager is able to see in real time how is the status of the position. The other option that we are aiming to complete is to create a folder to replace these email exchanges. So we are trying to have one folder where you as a hiring manager and I as an HR analyst have for that specific position. So you have all the forms completed, you just place it in that folder and the HR analyst just go there and retrieve the forms that you have provided it. So that is going to reduce the amount of emails between you and the HR analyst. For the fairness in hiring certificate, we are going to have a searchable database. So hiring managers are able to search if the panelist has completed it or not, the fairness in hiring certificate by yourself. So you just go there, check for the DSW number for the first name or last name of the panelist, and you are able to determine if he or she or they have been completed the certificate before you provide the form to the HR operation analyst. We are working on having a diverse panel composition. This is under works. More information is going to be provided on December 12th. We're working in the appointment about entrance guidelines in order to be publicized so managers are able to know how to make those requests. And we are working in hire in a day. We are still working with DHR to obtain approvals in order to make that happen. I'm going to share with the managers about the smart recruiters for hiring managers. They have a video I'm going to share with all of you, and also they have provided a hiring manager walkthrough. However, you have questions about how to get access or you don't get access, please check login first on your employment gateway, find your applications, and then get access to smart recruiters first before you are able to see anything in smart recruiters. That's the best way you can for communications. You can reach out to us via email, via MS Teams, either via chat, or you can schedule meetings with your HR analyst or with us. You also have division by weekly meetings. So you can reach out either to Daisy or Myvic in order for you be invited to those meetings. We also have what we call the DPH HR Resource Center. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So in this DPH HR Resource Center, we're able to see all the updates that we have, all the information that we have been seeing, our most recently video, all the HR announcement, newsletters, the policy newsletters that we have been sending to all of you. And also you can find, and we recommend it to explore each one of the HR teams that we have. So you are able to find more information within each one of them. And they have like great information. We are updating here the efficiency phases, and also at the bottom you are going to find more forms, presentations that are very helpful for you to know. And we have also an HR resources for managers and supervisors. I'm going to share that link with you because we are like run out of time, but thank you so much everybody for your time, for having me today. And please feel free to reach out and email me. You have questions, suggestions, recommendations in order to improve our hiring process. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Viviana. We do have plenty full of questions here in the chat, and we will be taking all of those questions, making sure that we can address them. There were some particular questions in regards to the hires that you mentioned, and a variety of questions around equity and how, as a whole, DPH is being supported to maintain equity at the forefront of our hiring processes as we make waves for the new staff to join us, and also to make these pathways a lot more effective as we continue to fill these vacancies. So we will be, I know, other folks want to respect their time. It is 1:02. We realize this could have been a way longer meeting, but definitely we'll be following up. Viviana, you did mention you're going to share a couple of these resources with us, as well as the recording of this session will also be sent and included. You mentioned that there is an approved list of questions, and we can possibly also make sure that we have that URL and attach it to the follow-up email. So thank you, everyone. We will continue again next month. And for now, again, we will take all the questions and make sure that they are looked at. We'll meet again, Viviana. So thanks again for your time, and possibly do a follow-up session so we can follow up with any and all of these questions that we have. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Viviana.
Have a great day. Thank you.
So much. And thank you, Adriana.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Yeah,
Thank you,
for-
Viviana.
Yeah, if you have like, for example, specific training for specific stages, just let me know or let us know. And yeah, we were able to provide, yeah. And if you have questions, yeah, please feel free to share them with us. That's the main purpose of our team, to support the hiring manager all the way since you submit the Form 3 until you get your candidate on board. Mhm.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
of course, you're
you.
very welcome. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Oh,
Bye.
thank you, everyone.